Jeffrey Epstein and this sleazebag writer named Michael Wolff were conspiring against Donald Trump to lose the election. So Epstein was conspiring with a writer for me to lose the election. So right there, you know that I had nothing to do with this guy. But yeah, it's a terrible thing. The amount of time that's being wasted. You know, when Epstein was alive, like 10 years ago, nobody cared about it. But they're only doing it. But now it's really hitting back on them because Bill Clinton is such a big part of it. The Democrats are pushing it. And the problem is that it's turning out to be the Democrats that were with and conspired with Epstein. So I think you're probably going to see a little pullback from that. But think of it, they were working together to try and help me lose the election. But this is the Oval Office, so I guess that didn't work out too.
Yeah, welcome, Sissy. Good afternoon to you. I'm doing good. I'm doing great. You know, I spent some time recovering and I feel great. I feel very, very great. I feel very good. Thank you. How are you? I hope you feel good as well. All right, we're going right back into the show. I hope you're super excited because I am. We have a lot of topics out here I would love to break down. Let's go right into it. All right, my wonderful people of Enugu, we are right back here. And yes, so as you expected, we are out here to give you one of the most thrilling topics trending right now in the world. And well, the global entertainment is currently on fire because the Grammys this year didn't just give awards, they gave ultimate drama. And I'm talking about drama enough to invite not just a popular rapper, Nicki Minaj, but also the sitting president of the United States. This is what happened at the Grammys. At the recent Grammy Awards, host Trevor Noah, known for political and satirical humor, made jokes involving Nicki Minaj's absence and her perceived political alignment with Donald Trump, which a lot of people didn't seem to like very much because, Nicki Minaj is one woman who says everything that comes to her mind. She does not flinch when it comes to talking about the disregard of Christians globally, and of course, the global leftists did not like this idea at all. And I think Trevor Noah must have had a certain breakdown or meltdown in his own private session at some point for him to decide that the Grammys was a place to go around throwing banters up and down. And well, with a lot of people watching, and when I mean a lot of people, half the world were watching that particular award show, it's only right that the records were set straight, right? Because at this point, we're not just looking at Nicki Minaj in the picture again. We're looking at how Trevor Noah must have defamed a sitting president, and of course, we're capturing it all here today. Too many are watching. It sounded like just another joke to Nicki Minaj, and it wasn't the final straw. And why Nicki Minaj became angry over the few days she came out to, give her own input and said that the Grammy are enjoying every single thing that is happening right now. A lot of Democrats supporters are enjoying what is happening with the world. That this is what they want you to do. They want you to disregard the Christian faith. They want you to disregard the atrocities committed by global powers. They want you to also disregard the fact that a lot of Democrat politicians were mentioned in the Epstein file, and of course, trying to sway that away with the Grammy Awards. And she went on to say that Trevor Noah is being used as a tool by the Democrats and, of course, the globalists to ensure that the narrative being spread around about Donald Trump does not come to light. The whole idea of this Epstein file being released was to put slander on Donald Trump's administration. Remember that before he came into his second tenure, there's been a lot of debate concerning Jeffrey Epstein, who died nearly 20 years ago or 10 years ago, talking about his island, which is a very major bone of contention, where they alleged that numerous atrocities happened, like child sacrifices, people, dissecting human parts, and breaking spinal corundums to drink as a form of ritual and enrichment for the rich and, of course, for the elites in that circle. Well, Nicki Minaj has come out to say that no matter what people want to paint her picture as, she knows that she did not have such a inspiring childhood. She did not have an inspiring upbringing, but the thing she's very certain is she would continue to speak truth into power. And I think this is one of the things that has sparked an outrage, not just with Trevor Noah, not just with the Grammys, but a lot of people who have agreed with Trevor Noah to continue spreading slander. And yes, so my people, it did not stop there at all. Well, Nicki Minaj became angry and didn't wake up one morning and decide to rant. Trust me, this reaction is years in the making. Here's why she says she has had enough, right? Unfortunately, the repeated Grammy snubs played a huge role. Imagine being in the game for nearly 30 years. She's been in the game, giving her entire life to ensuring that the world understands that hip hop needs a woman's voice. She's done that, gone on to promote not just herself. She's promoted women in rap. She's promoted women in R&B, women in pop culture. She's also promoted a lot of artists who have struggled to finally come out in the limelight, open the doors for female rappers to finally have a voice, not just in America, but globally. And well, she says multiple albums released has come out in the past few years, and not even one got a win by the Grammys. She calls the awards very biased. She says that there's been a massive cultural decline in the Grammys, and of course, her impact is not going to go unnoticed, no matter how much they want to water it down. She's continued to talk about how much her dominance has helped a lot of people more than the Democrats have helped in a few years. And yes, so yet little to no Grammy recognition was awarded to her. Nicki believes she's been systematically sidelined, especially when compared with less impact, being used as a punchline. Trevor Noah's joke wasn't just absence, trust me, because the moment when he said that statement, There are lots of people not in attendance at this time, and of course, we noticed that Nicki Minaj is not here. She's probably still with Donald Trump, and he made some satirical joke about how Donald and talked about, Nikki, your bag is so big, and I know that the Grammys might have sidelined you, but now you're in the Oval Office or something like that in that nature. And well, this guy went overboard. And well, I'm a big fan of Trevor Noah. I must confess, right? I'm a big fan of Trevor Noah, but I think there's a very slim line to what is true and what is slander, right? There's a very slim line between a joke, a satirical joke, and what could lead you into a very, very strong opinion of counter opinions, when especially driving to the point of the Epstein release, right? A lot of outrage occurred in the world with Prince Andrew being mentioned and the UK taking direct approach to scrutinize that information, and the rest of the world paying close attention to Donald Trump's administration in regards to what happens next with the Epstein list. Now, Trevor Noah picks a very wrong time. The Grammys is for artists who have contributed massively in the cultural aspect of hip hop and, of course, pop culture endeavors, right? To see that the next generation take this same resemblance and mold it into something better. But Trevor Noah decides this is a night where he's going to throw bands, right? He comes out and makes satirical jokes, and of course, it's not sitting well with a lot of people, even though the crowd in the Grammys must have taken it, this is one of Trevor Noah's jokes. There's nothing really to read meaning into it. But then when it comes to you being indicted on a federal level, and I'm talking about the Epstein list, right? When it comes to being indicted on a federal level, there are some things you do not say. And I think Trevor Noah pushed it a little bit too forward and a little bit too hard. And of course, he's getting exactly what he deserved. Yeah, so Nicki Minaj believes that she's been systematically sidelined. We agree that, because how do you give 30 years into the rap industry and not even a single Grammy goes home with you? And then Cardi B, a counterparts like that, and Doechii, who just came out a few years ago, comes out with anxiety and is racking awards. It screams a lot of systematic sidelining, and of course it screams a lot of negligence by the Grammys Award to recognize Nicki Minaj as one of the best female rappers that's ever existed on this planet Earth. And yes, so Trevor Noah's joke wasn't just about absence, it tied her name to politics and mocked her public image. Nicki feels her legacy is constantly reduced to joke and not respect. For a guy like Trevor Noah, who has not done anything respectable in the past few years, aside hosting shows that have lost relevance, I really feel that it is a downplay for him to put Nicki Minaj in the same category as losers as he has done in the Grammys. But anyways, this is where we find the topics more interesting, right? Because he didn't just stop there, right? He tried to control a narrative that was already in the air. She believes the Grammys and mainstream media keep representing her story, her beliefs, her choices. For Nicki, this wasn't just comedy, it was character framing. And when a popular person comes out and says something about another popular person, right? A lot of people try to take what the meaning could be and at least fix it with their own meaning. Like, you could come out and say something like, Wizkid is the greatest of all time, and of course, could possibly be greater than Fela, right? Now, somebody out there might reconstruct it and say, Ojo said Wizkid is the biggest artist and he's currently bigger than Fela, right? He does not put the could possibly, right? You see where the whole problem begins. Now, that is framing mindset. Also, the public humiliation on a global scale was something Nicki was not about to let go. The Grammys is not a Twitter space, it's a global broadcast. And trust me, when I mean global broadcast, it's not just the Americans listening, it's not just Africans listening. Asians and every single person who has a TV and can access internet is watching that particular broadcast. And yes, we're being joked about without the chance to respond instantly felt disrespectful and intentional. Nicki's response, she went on to say on her social media with strong words calling out the Grammys as disrespectful, the industry for hypocrisy, Trevor Noah for crossing lines disguised as humor. And well, I must bust your head today, right? Nicki has said not once, not twice, she strongly feels allegedly that Trevor Noah might be swinging the other way. And when I talk about swinging the other way, this also paints the picture of why he's constantly fighting the Trump administration about the immigrants levels and deporting the people who don't have their proper documentations, right? He has also talked about how Trump administration is trumping on other people's rights, and if this was what he had planned, he would have never won, and he has always been against the Trump administration. Nicki Minaj has said, we all know why Trevor Noah always has an opinion. That's because he is GAY, and of course, since he's GAY, the rest of the world cannot overlook that, and this is his own way of letting them water it down. And of course, being a global figure in his own right, he has a voice, and when the leftists are amplifying that voice, you already know the damage is halfway done. And yes, so the disrespect did not just end there with Nicki Minaj. When an artist feels ignored, mocked, and constantly overlooked, the anger is no longer about awards, it's about dignity. Trust me, this was insane what Trevor Noah and the rest of the Grammys had to do to get the attention of not just Nicki Minaj, who is supposed to be an influence and, of course, a big carrier of the hip-hop genre when it comes to the female dominance, right? Also, we've seen how this has also included words from not just Nicki Minaj, but from people close to her. And we saw words from 50 Cent, who allegedly said that Nicki Minaj loves to pick and choose when to cry, that she's forgotten that she also used to be an immigrant coming into the country, and of course talked about how she's going to give back to immigrants and never did so. Nicki Minaj came out to also debunk that rumor, calling 50 a grumpy old man and he should act his age. Also, this is about who controls respect in the industry and who decides whose voice matters. It's quite an uproar with these two giants right now after the Grammys. Is Nicki Minaj right to fight back, or should she ignore the Grammys entirely? This is my question to you. And if you caught the a whim of what's happening with the Grammys and you understand this topic, your voices right here on 0706 048 5853. Or you can join me on 0915 570 8347. I remember, boys and girls, we are very much live on our YouTube Volt Express channel. If you're feeling this and you're enjoying this topic, let me hear your thoughts right here. And of course, join us in the commentary. Join us in the chats. Let me know where you're chatting from and how much you're enjoying this one. And yes, so it doesn't just end there. As soon as we come back from this quick break, we'll be going right into what the remarks on the internet has been. And of course, why this one is a total blockbuster news. All right, let's go right into it with more music right here on Volt Express. I'll be playing you Good Feeling by Tough and Peruzzi. And next we have Dance by Timaya featuring Rude Boy. And of course, the P Square brothers, who have come out to give us wonderful vocals on that one. Next we have Yebo by TXC featuring Tony Duado, Davido, Lima Crazy, DJ Ibiza. And of course, this is a wonderful jam. Big shout out to Davido for being nominated for the Grammys. And of course, we have All Over by Tiwa Savage, My Dalina by King Perry, coming to you right here on Volt Express. Let's dive right into it.